Let us continue our reading of Pope Francis's apostolic letter on the liturgical formation of the people of God. We are in chapter which is titled The Need for Serious and Vital Liturgical Reform. Paragraphs 27, 28 and 29. In it the Pope explains what Second Vatican Council with the liturgical reform wanted to achieve and restore in terms of restoring our sense of God's presence among us. Therefore, the fundamental question is this: how do we recover the capacity to live completely the liturgical action? This was the objective of the Council's reform. The challenge is extremely demanding because modern people have lost the capacity to engage with symbolic action, which is an essential trait of the liturgical act. And if we could add just a thought to it before we continue, that in our age, which is this age of screens, computer screens, television screens, and flickering screens of tablets, iPods, and smart gadgets, this age greatly erases our ability to think symbolically, because screen time is a kind of immediacy, not with reality, not a direct contact with reality, but it's a reality which obeys our wish and the enter button that we want to change, we want to follow change. And we are entrapped in the empty presence without any reference to any symbol or depths in life. So the immediacy what our computer screen culture offers is against the symbolic, the in-depth thinking. But let us continue with the Pope. With postmodernity, people feel themselves even more lost, without references of any sort, lacking in values because they have become indifferent, completely orphaned, living a fragmentation in which a horizon of meaning seems impossible. Perhaps it is even a better name for the postmodern age, the post-symbolic age, when we lost our symbols and sense of symbolism. And so it is even more weighed down by the burdensome inheritance that the previous epoch left us, consisting in individualism and subjectivism, which evokes once again the Pelagian and the Gnostic problems, reference to the two heresies. It consists also in the abstract spiritualism which contradicts human nature itself, for a human person is an incarnate spirit and therefore as such capable of symbolic action and of symbolic understanding. And perhaps we can add something to this, that today's fashionable spiritualities, and the point is not mentioning or highlighting any of them, all what is symbolic, what people are engaging with, yoga, mindfulness, quiet meditations, somehow it's about looking inward, or to be more precise, these really can be called an abstract spiritualism. Abstract in the sense that it doesn't emphasize our embodiment, and it doesn't aim at connecting people with their brothers and sisters in their daily life as they are and where they are. But back to the Pope's conclusion of the paragraph. It is with this reality of the modern world that the Church, united in council, wanted to enter into contact, reaffirming her awareness of being the sacrament of Christ, the light of the nations, putting himself in a devout listening to the word, Dei Verbum, and recognizing her own as her own the joys and hopes, Gaudium et Spes, the documents of the Council, the joys and hopes of the people of our times. The great constitutions of the Council cannot be separated from one another, and it is not accident that this single huge effort at reflection by the Ecumenical Council began with the reflection on the liturgy, the document entitled Sacrosanctum Concilium. So, when local churches and individual Christians, when we reread the Council's document Sacrosanctum Concilium, let us read it not as a document which is far away from us, but as something which wants to restore our sense of God's full presence among us. And then we can relate really positively and in an engaging way with the great emphasis of this document that the liturgy, in particular the Holy Mass, the Eucharist, what we celebrate, is the fons and culmen, the source and the high point and the sum total of Christian life and thinking, because the living Christ is nourishing us and we encounter the risen, living Son of God in the Holy Communion and in the Word of God.